Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a good evening or good night for our special guests. Okay, welcome to AES Malaysia Section special online meeting slash webinar, whatever you may call it, sharing session perhaps. Okay, and today's topic is a conversation with Soya Soo. All right, okay, so everybody, all right, give a warm
Hi.
welcome. Our special guest, all right, is Soya Soo, who is a let me just read out from the bio, right, that I got. Okay, so now I'm sure everyone knows, but Soya Soo is a music producer and audio engineer from Malaysia. He picked up the piano at the age of 7 and is influenced by pop, film, video game music. He holds an undergraduate degree from Berklee College of Music. He majored in music production and engineering. In 2015, he was awarded the Don Puluse. Did I get the spelling correct? Don
Yeah.
Puluse, right? Award, Don Puluse Award by the MP&E department. His experiences included working with film composer John Powell on Solo, a Star Wars Story Ferdinand at Five Cat Studio. He also worked with Alan Meyerson on Ralph Breaks the Internet and Aquaman, and recently worked with film composer Hans Zimmer on Dune, The Lion King, and Dark Phoenix. He has also just finished the Hans Zimmer Live 2022 in Europe tour and is currently based in Los Angeles and is focusing on film and video game music projects. So a big warm welcome to you, Sarasu, to our little gathering.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Yeah, 3 p.m. in Malaysia. Yes.
Yes, all right. Firstly, I have to say, right, on behalf of everyone here and the committee members, thank you so much for making the time, right? And going
Yeah.
through all the trouble, through all the communications back and forth to try and sort out and to figure out the time, right? I know you're like super busy, and to take the time out of your schedule, and in your case, right, to stay up super late, right? Because it's now 12 midnight for you to spend a little time with us here in Malaysia. Lah. That is very awesome. That's so kind and generous of you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for inviting as well. Yeah, it's my honor and pleasure to share some experience or maybe some tips, try to inspire and get people more into the industry because I think we have the potential and a lot of talented people from Malaysia. Yeah.
Likewise, all right, awesome. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Let me just have a
Yeah.
quick introduction. Let me introduce myself also. All right, I haven't done that yet. My name is JD Wong. All right, I am I'm also a engineer, a producer, and a mixer myself, based out of here in my studio here in KL. But I'm also currently serving as the chairman of the AES, the Audio Engineering Society, as you can see behind me, the Malaysia section, right? So I just want to say a quick brief history on what the AES is. So the Audio Engineering Society is the only professional society that's devoted to audio technology and any sort of audio engineering related topics around the world. So AES is headquartered in New York in the US, and there are many sections around the world in different countries, right, including professional sections, including student sections. And AES Malaysia, right, is the official section, lah, right? So we are the official ones that represent all
Yeah.
the different engineers, all the anyone who's in audio community here in Malaysia. The members are composed of audio professionals. So we talk about audio engineers, live sound engineers, studio engineers, mixing engineers, but even people like researchers, scientists, students make up a big percentage of actually the membership all around the world. But it's also open to anyone who is enthusiastic or has a love and a passion for audio. It doesn't mean that you have to be a working professional in audio, then only you can join the AES. It's open for everyone. I'll leave like descriptions and link to how you can join the AES either worldwide or locally. I'll leave it down in the chat section later lah, at the end. Okay, so welcome everyone. As let me sort of reiterate again, there are a few house rules I want to sort of mention. Okay, during the duration of this session, right, this presentation, kindly please make sure that your microphone is muted. All right, if you have any questions, please do type them, right? If you have any questions for Soya, please type them in the chat, and we'll definitely get to it and answer them one by one lah. Right. Now, one last thing
Yep.
is I have to notify everyone that this meeting is recorded. So once again, if you need to have your privacy, right, please turn off your camera, lah, okay? This is going to be recorded and then it's going to be uploaded later for viewing on YouTube and on our official Facebook page. Again, I'll leave more details in the chat. So without further ado, let's
Yep.
head down to some of the list questions that I have for Soya here. So let's start
Yeah.
with besides the bio which I read just now. Soya, tell us
Yeah.
about yourself. Where did you grow up? When did you decide to get into a career in music?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I born in Angbang, or well, or to be exactly, I'm from KL, Kuala Lumpur. So, yes, I started learn piano when I was kid by watching my two older brothers. They play piano, and then I was like, wow, it's so cool, and I wanted to learn what they do. Because when you were a kid, you just follow whatever your older brothers do. So I followed the exact same path, except they give up way before earlier. But I continue, and when I was in 16, and then I finally received my first Discman, or so-called MP3 player. Wow, it seems like a super super old stuff. While I would still keep learning piano, and also I was in high school and I stayed in hostel. So besides homeworks, I think my Discman is my best companion for through all the crazy exams and all the homeworks. But when I started listening to all these CDs, right, I realized I was quite curious. How did all these people they put everything into a piece of CD, especially when you listen to orchestra music or video game music? Because we all know that in a big orchestra you have more than 50 people or 50 players, but how did the recording engineer record everything, and how did the process, how did they deal with so many tracks, mix it, mastered it, and then put it into a CD? After I'm done with my SPM, and then it was a time everyone decided where or which universities they wanted to go. So looking at all the catalogs, went to all the education expo, I finally, I mean, luckily I saw there were a few schools they provided the recording course, or I mean, as in general, first thing first, I found the UCSI music the college which provide a music major, and also I found ICOM, and then but after compared with these two college, ICOM was the one has a recording studio, and on top of that, they have a Berklee network school, which means I can finish 2 years in Malaysia and then I transfer all my credits to Berklee. After that, I went to research about Berklee College of Music, and it seems like they are one of the top music college that has a complete facilities, meaning they have a complete major or syllabus that to teach students how to work as a professional recording engineer, mixing engineer, or even music producer in the most updated music industry or music scenario or music scene. So I made up my mind, and I just told my parents, hey, yeah, I mean, I'm from a quite traditional Chinese family. So, of course, they expect me to be doctor, lawyer, whatever, scientist. But to me, I started getting less and less interest on those stuff. So I told my parents, yeah, I decided to do music, and I just applied for one college. That's it. I finished my transfer program in Berkeley, in ICOM, and then I transferred to Berkeley. After 2 years in Berkeley, I moved to LA because Alvin Lee told me that if I really love video game music, orchestra music, I mean, we met in Berkeley, and we get to know each other more, and then I did help him. I did assist him in several sessions. He moved to LA first and started working with Al Clay. Our MP&E program had a field trip to LA, so we visited a lot of big studios like Warner Brothers, Sony, etc. And then I met up with Alvin, and yeah, he told me that if I love to work in orchestral music, video game music, film music, LA is the better place for us, especially we have a strong passion in this kind of music, We should choose LA and move to LA and start a career. And yeah, he convinced me. That's why I moved to LA.
Mhm.
And then after that, I started my first internship with Heitor Pereira, who is the composer for Despicable Me, Minions. And then after that, I had the chance to work with John Powell in his studio for two movies. And then After that, I got a job in Hans Zimmer studio, and this August gonna be my fourth year with him. So yeah, this roughly is my kind of music background. Yeah, it's quite challenging working in his studio, especially you have to work with Hans Zimmer, as in he's quite of the one of the busiest and top film composer, and well, he has high expectation on you. Not like he wants to force you or he's being bossy, but he wants to challenge us, as in if he able to do things outside the box, then he want us to grow with him as well. So different project, he always come up with different concept or different sound. Then we are the one who have to achieve what's in his vision or in his picture. So I think my job is challenging and fun because we're able to be creative, but not only technology wise, but also in music.
So that
Yeah.
sort of kind of answered my second question as well, because I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, what were the steps that you took. So that is,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing what your path was, lah, right? From
Yeah.
here to ICOM, then
Berklee.
to Berkeley. Yeah. Can you describe what exactly, if people were to ask you, hey, Soya, what do you do, or
Mhm.
what's your job description? What's your job description like?
Okay, so basically, Hans Studio is specialized in film, TV show, video game music, right? Music post production studio. As the studio engineer, usually when all those after those composer complete with their demos, which means somehow approved by directors or even producers, right? Then we have to go through some overdubs or recording. Then part of my job is once they appoint or they schedule the recording, then studio engineer have to set up the studio for the recording, and then besides that, after the recording, we will edit or even we will tune, like we will clean up the noises, and then after that we will start mixing it. Basically, that's the studio engineer side job. And besides that, we are the somehow the nerdy technology stuff in the studio, right? So our responsibility, including we have to go through all the studio maintenance, no matter hardware or software, means we also need to know how the computer work. Like, let's say we have to deal with Windows and Apple computers. So we need to learn what's the difference and how can we connect both computers to make them talk to each other, and all those studio setup. Like if you get a new console, then we have to plan how can we set up the console and all this kind of hardware stuff, software stuff. Also, we need to do a lot of, based on different project, we have different setup. Like if this is a video game for virtual reality, then we need to find out what we need to set up. Do we need to set up a 7.1 or 5.1 or 7.1.4, all this Atmos stuff? So basically, we somehow are the crazy people who have to think about how to achieve and how to get a project done. This even make our job more challenging and interesting.
It's an interesting aspect that you mentioned
Yeah,
that you also need to be, IT
yeah,
wizards already nowadays. I mean, there's so many things that involve online transfer of data, running and maintaining
yeah,
computers. Yeah, it's not just maintaining tape machines or analog gear or microphones. Nowadays, you have to
yeah,
maintain even
yeah.
computers as well. Yeah.
I would say most of my job is to troubleshoot and to solve the problem, because we are the one who set up the computer. We are the one who study or even stay more than 10 hours in a room. So we should know every single little thing in the room. So whatever goes wrong, then you need to find out what you need to start to troubleshoot with. And if one thing broken, what's your plan B to plan Z to keep the project going on to hit the deadline?
So
Yeah,
besides Mr. Hans Zimmer himself, right?
yeah,
Who else, right? Throughout your day to day, your job interaction, who are the people that you usually work with?
so in a big picture, I always work with composers and their assistant, because they are the one who pass me all the demos, or we call it stamps, as in as a song you have a lot of instruments, right? So for the recording and mixing process, sometimes I mean we hope to have more control on all those instruments. That's why we always receive stamps from those assistants. We will go through with we will talk about the stamps or the process later. So basically, the composer and then their assistant. And then if you are assigned as the studio assistant engineer, then you will work with the main engineer, no matter it's a in-house main engineer or outside engineer. Then after that, you need to deal with the music editor and dubbing stage, because you are the one who deliver all the stamps, all the projects to them. If you talk about names, yes, I work a lot with Hans. Besides Hans, I work a lot with Alan Meyerson, who is one of the best Hollywood score mixer and recording engineer.
I think you kind of hinted a little bit, but what are the
Yeah.
skills, what are the attributes that's necessary to become, to do what you're doing?
So besides all those troubleshooting skills, the technology knowledge, right? Even though we call ourselves as audio engineer or music engineer, but don't forget we are dealing with music. So we still need to have the basic music knowledge, like arranging. Maybe when we talk about chords, we need to know, yeah, major, minor chords, all the keys. You don't need to be super crazy. You don't need to be perfect pitch, but at least you have a sense of, in one orchestra, you have a violin, viola, cello, double bass, etc. And then besides that, my job, I use Pro Tools the most compared with other engineers. Maybe in other studio, they need to know Logic, Cubase, but my department, we deal with Pro Tools most. So I learned Pro Tools, and then I still using Pro Tools, and I'm still learning Pro Tools because there's always new updates, new shortcut, new functions. And of course, you really need to love music so that you can keep working on a daily basis, right? Because you turn your hobby into your job. So you have to love music first, then you will have the passionate to keep going on. Yeah.
Some people will say that, if you're doing something that you love doing, it no longer becomes a job already. It feels
Yeah.
like fun. It feels like play every time. But I'm sure, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
when you are working on a big project, you're working on a Hollywood film. There's going to be pressures of deadlines. You need to deliver
Yeah.
this. You're right. You need to be answerable and accountable. What sort of these pressures that you usually, if you ever face this lah, what are the things that you
Yeah.
need to deal with?
The most important is we have to hit the deadline. And of course, in such a short deadline, how could you get things done? When you receive a project, like if you need to mix, or even if you need to assist on a score mixing, right? Uh Usually we start with building the Pro Tools templates. And then after that, you will get a lot of materials from composers, which I mentioned just now, means stamps, the pre-records or MIDI samples. And on top of that, you have to deal with a recording studio like Sony, Warner Brothers, or Vienna, this kind of big studio that record the whole orchestra. You need to be organized and to make sure your deliveries to the dubbing stage and music editor without any confusion. So all these kind of thing, after stack up everything, right? Yes, it creates tons of pressure and tension. But once you started working and have been long enough in the industry, then you know how to be better and how to deal with them in a better way.
So
Yeah.
if sometimes because it is a high pressure, there's high stakes because we're talking about big budgets here, and you're
Yeah.
talking with movie studios, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if it definitely would take someone of a certain caliber and a certain character to be able to handle this sort of
Yeah.
job lah. Yeah.
A few main keys are included. Yeah, you need to pay attention to the details, especially when you deliver files, and especially, I mean, as in, you work in a project which have more than 10 people, then you need to think about how can you pass over all these files and materials to the next person, and the next person could pick it up right away without any confusion and questions. So it is very important, like you need to have a good communication. And besides that, you also need to have the sense of emergency, like you need to know what to prioritize. There's some of the keys to deal with in such a high pressure environment.
Yeah, knowing how to
Yeah.
prioritize things, that's
Yeah.
yeah, and attention to detail. Yeah, I'm sure there's no such thing as getting files labeled audio one, audio two, audio three in your case.
Yeah,
No such
yeah,
thing. Yeah. Right. So in your typical work day, right?
yeah.
It's definitely not a typical work day. You're still up, you know. Yeah. What's it like when you working on a film project? Do you have a fixed schedule, or is everything flexible?
Uh, yes and no. As in, we hire as studio engineer. You just need to be proactive, and the culture here is you don't need to be ordered to do stuff. You do it by yourself, and if you are not assigned by any big projects, right? So the daily routine will be like, yes, you go in and then you check all the rooms, make sure everything is working, do a test on the computer or even a console, and then try to see if anything you need to reboot or is anything fallen or getting loose, then you need to fix it. And after you do all this hardware checkup, you go through the software, like maybe you will read some Pro Tools expert articles, right? And then to know, okay, what's the latest, and then do you need to update the Pro Tools? Do you need to update the plugin software? That's it for a regular daily routine. But if you are assigned on a project, yes, then it would be a different story. You need to prep the mix session for the mixer if you are assigned as a score mixer assistant. Means you receive the file from the scoring stage, and then you edit the recorded orchestra, and then you tune it, or you don't need to tune it. And then dealing with film score, right, you always have a main theme and a several significant theme in a movie. The instrumentation or some elements might be keep repeating. You need to know, and you need to pay attention, and you have to remember to we call it import session data, because if it's the same instrumentation or even same sound, right? If the mixer already set up the sound for the mix, whatever plugins, whatever settings, then you need to bring over to the entire movie. So you need to understand the music, and you need to understand the movie as well. And other than that, you will print the approved mix, and then you will send the stamps to the dubbing stage. That's my basic life.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? So that's your day to day typical schedule. That's what your work day is lah. In your bio, you recently said that you took part in the Hans Zimmer live tour. So,
Yeah,
what was that about? Because it's like, oh, people would think that if you're an audio engineer in the studio,
yeah.
you just be in the studio. Like, what was that? Or what was that like?
I was assigned as Hans Zimmer live tour recording and playback engineer.
Mhm.
Nowadays, a lot of pop music or even modern music concert, right? Besides the players, we have another layer. We call it backing tracks supporting. So same thing, you need to receive a lot of materials from composers or even the band, and then you have to put into in this tour we use Pro Tools, so we put all the elements into Pro Tools. A super session consists of all the songs for the shows, and then you need to stay with them for the band rehearsal and even the production rehearsal, because usually they will play on top of those MIDI samples, right? So they will tell you, hey, you need to mute this, you need to unmute that, or you need to mute the click because it's annoying, or you need to change click, whatever. I was the one who in charge of this. On top of that, I was also the concert recording engineer, means the live sound engineer. He will set up all the mics and the tracks to record all the band members, and I'm the one who do the recording. Means I will set up the recording machine so that the live mixer could feed me all the tracks. And
Yeah.
of course, I need to set up my rig on different cities. So the daily life would be you wake up at 10 a.m. and then you take a shower, and then you start set up your front of house station. After you set up your playback and recording station, then you just stay with them until the sound check, and then the band comes in, and then yeah, we go through several songs, dinner time, and then show start. And then after 3 hours, it's time to pack your rig and then load out, move to the next city. It's
Wow.
torturing.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
sound like that must have been a really, really exciting experience doing that tour. So, I mean, did you ever expect that, oh, it's I'm gonna just be working in the studio, and then now it's like, oh wow, I have to be actually on tour itself and going around with this. Yeah.
Wow. I to be honest, I didn't expect that would
Mm.
happen on me, but it was a fun experience and
Yep.
quite challenging because once you're on tour, if one of your gears break down, right, you just have to use whatever you have from your work box and make things work again so that we can finish the tour on time. Yeah,
Yep.
crazy.
That indeed. So
Yeah,
yeah, so you mentioned that playback is on Pro Tools. When you record also,
yeah.
it's going to be recording in Pro Tools as well.
This time we record on Waves Track Live. I'm not sure have you guys heard of it, but it seems
Mm.
like quite common for touring.
So it's a so totally separate standalone system lah, right? Why didn't you record on Pro Tools?
Based on the previous setup, things work well. I mean, during that time, sound great. I mean, we use a tiny little MADI box called MGB Sound Grid. It provides 128 channels on MADI that time.
Mm.
So we just decided, okay, since everything's from Wavesprite, we should keep it simple. And because we just recorded the whole show from top to the end, it doesn't require a lot of crazy editing during the tour.
Yeah.
So we decided just go with a track live. Yeah, keep it simple because currently we are mixing the album and we found out several issues.
Oh,
Yeah.
can you talk about that? What are the issues or the
Well,
challenges and how you get around it? Yeah.
of course, when we deal with a lot of tracks, so in a live concert, we are using a digital board. It gives us 128 channels. The downside is if you on everything on digital, right, you have to care about the synchronization and the latency stuff and even the clock issue. So once we started mixing this album, we found out we faced some clocking issue. I mean, we could clean up everything by using the Isotope RX, but we found out that it's time to maybe try different things so that we could save more time and energy dealing with this kind of technical issues. That's why we are preparing for the next tour. Hopefully, things will get better.
Right. So you learn from the experiences
Yeah.
of facing those technical issues, and now you know that for the next one what to expect and how to deal with it lah. That's very interesting. In fact, I talked to a lot of like live sound engineers as well. Most of them don't really use Pro Tools for recording. They say they don't trust it. They say
Yeah. Yeah.
especially for a long concert, it might crash halfway. So Reaper, is a name that comes up quite a lot. If they use a DAW, that they would use Reaper as well because it's so light. But I suppose you guys already have your own system lah,
Mm.
and what to do. When will the next tour be?
Next April,
Next
next
April.
summer,
Okay, next summer, that means 2023.
next year.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yep. That will be in across Europe or anywhere else in the world?
Europe again.
Europe again lah. Right.
Europe again.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is very cool, right? We wish you all the best for that when the time comes. Maybe we'll catch up again if you have any more exciting stories about that.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been asking Hans and
Mhm.
even his business partner to think about put a tour in Asia because I know and I believe a lot of hardcore fans in Asia, but they seems lacking of confidence. So maybe if you guys love Hans Zimmer music, right, you guys should write him email, just post on the Facebook, hey, or even go to Hans Zimmer Live, the website or page and say,
Mhm.
hey, when can we expect you guys to tour in Malaysia? Yeah,
All right. Okay. Okay. Yep. So,
yeah.
we'll put the word out, and hopefully he will see that, there is a big enough audience, of fans here that would love to see lah.
Yeah, just do it.
You
Just do it.
perform. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yep, that will be one of the things we will petition for. Do
Mm-hmm.
an Asia tour next. Let's go back to maybe some of the more technical stuff. So when you are dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
let's say projects, right?
Yeah.
How do you usually organize, let's say, the different sessions that come in? Do the mixes come in, for example, each music cue, right? Does does it follow each particular cue, each particular sequence? Do you split them up across reels? How do you guys break down, a whole movie's worth of project, and how do you break it down? How do you organize them?
We always go with cues by cues, means each cues will have its own proto session.
Mm-hmm.
We doing it is because first the instrumentation in one movie you might have some emotional music, you might have some action music, right? In all these different style or different feeling of music, right? You have different instrumentation, and then if you squeeze everything into one big session, right, it doesn't make sense if you want to change some sound. Let's say in the action music, you're supposed to have a lot of we call it short elements, means you have some staccato strings or staccato uh brass woodwind, right? Usually the mixer or even I have different settings on the reverb, because in a short, can you imagine if the music is fast and a lot of staccato and then you have a long reverb, a
Mm.
super wet reverb, in the end you will get a lot of crazy resonant and unwanted frequency or even unwanted sound. To avoid this kind of problem, we go with cues by cues,
Mhm.
means so that you have more control and you could do whatever you want to do in your mix. Can you imagine if you have all the music in one big session, and then if you want to change plug-in settings, it might
Yeah.
affect the music before or it might affect the music cue after. So we always go by cues. And on top of that, we will have an early discussion with the dubbing stage, like the what's the stem layout or the stem list that we need to send to them. So if they tell you, if we already agree that okay, in this movie we will have 12 stems. Then you have strings, woodwind, brass, maybe piano, guitar, synthesizer, bass, etc. stems layout. They would expect that all the piano sound will go into the stems called piano. All the synthesizer will go to a stem called synth. But for a movie, as I say, you have different scenes, different style of music. So you won't get exactly the same stems layout. As in, maybe in this sentimental, in the emotional moment, you just need a piano and a cello. That's it. That's what the director approved. Maybe the composer used two pianos and then one cello. I mean, two pianos, two cello, but the performance might be, let's say, first piano, it's only focusing on the melody line. The second piano might be more accompaniment style, but the composer prefer the dubbing mixer to have more control or give the director more control, like to rebalance the melody line and the accompanying part during the dubbing stage. As I mentioned just now, we have the early discussion to finalize the stem layout. Means by common sense, you will expect that all the piano should go into one stem. But in this scenario, because the composer wants to give the director and the dubbing mixer to have more control, we can use those open, we call it open stems, means
Mhm.
empty stems. You can put a main melody, piano main melody line, stay in the keyboard stems or piano stem. Then you can
Right.
put the accompaniment into the synth stems.
So
By
there's the flexibility, but
yes.
but not to the point of going crazy where you send every single
Mm-hmm,
track lah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's still
Mm-hmm.
manageable.
Because somehow we believe the dubbing mixer would love to have control on our stems as well
Mhm.
when he or she mixing the whole film. We need to be organized and be
Yeah,
flexible. Yeah.
yeah. Who are the score mixes that the mixes that you usually that you work with very often? Do you have any particular favorites
Oh,
that
of
you work
course,
with?
Alan Meyerson. Yeah, because he has a studio in our campus. So every time I enjoy seeing him mixing,
Hmm.
and he will teach you new stuff. He has a lot of experience and many years experience in we call it hybrid style, means you have the recorded orchestra or you have recorded or overdub elements to mix with those samples, and then he is too good to achieve a well balanced sound. So if you listen to all his mixes, you will be surprised how could he get it done, and we could not notice that, oh, this is a fake one, or this is a organic or real one.
Right, right.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
to make all the samples sound
yeah.
like it's real, and it just
Blend
blends
in.
seamlessly. Yeah.
I also enjoy assisting, not really assisting, Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is John Williams' first to go mixing engineer. If you listen to all the Star Wars soundtrack, right, he is the man behind the mixing. Alan Meyerson and Sean Murphy, to me, it's like a big contrast. One is so good in hybrid mixing, and one is so good in getting the organic sound. Sean Murphy is so good to get a well balance on the real orchestra or real
Mm,
musician.
yeah.
If you listen to all the
John
John
Williams.
Williams
Yeah.
stuff lah.
It's awesome, man, because you've already, through your answers, right? You have already actually answered the two or three of my questions, right? It makes my job a lot easier as well. For yourself, like you work in Hans Zimmer Studios. It's definitely important. How important is it to listen to other engineers' works and investigate like how did they get this sound, or how did that person get that particular sound? Do you do that?
Yeah, of course. Yes, it is important because I would still say that I'm still a beginner in the Hollywood industry, as a audio engineer, and there's a lot of stuff that I need to learn as well. Listening to their mixes, I will get a clearer picture how to approach if I have to do the same kind of project, as in if this composer he likes Alan Meyerson mixing style, then of course I need to listen to Alan's mixes so that I can get a idea like what does the composer means, because Alan always tell us that as a mixer, you're especially in film and video game music or even TV show, our main job is to enhance composer's music. We are helping the composer tell the story to convince the audiences with their music. You need to know what is important, what is the main moment, or what's the sparkling moment in the background music. Alan does it too good, as in he always able to highlight. If people ask you, hey, can you boost up the main melody line? Maybe you just push up the fader, 2 dB more or 3 dB more or even 6 dB more. But listening to Alan's mixes, you will get the idea how he bring it up, but not only just pushing it louder, but how he compensate in a frequency spectra, like how can he do things in a better way. So you get all the idea. Because I'm working in Hans Zimmer studio, so I have the chance to ask a lot of questions and get some advices from Alan or even our house engineer, Seth Wallman. If you're on IMDb and you search Seth Wallman, you would see he has done Wonder Woman, the latest Wonder Woman, his Dark Materials, and then X-Men Dark Phoenix. I also listen to Elvin Wee's mix, to get an idea. Oh, this is how I should mix to get similar sound or similar idea.
And speaking of Alvin, I mean, the two of you are, we can say lah, right, that we're super, super awesomely proud of what you guys are doing over there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and also, you guys are so generous on in making your time available and sharing your stories, your experiences, and your tips and your tricks that you learned with us here.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have much Pro Tools session that I could share with you guys, but I think for my first time, I should share my stories and experience as a first step to inspire you guys. Yeah, before I show my Pro Tools session, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, no, no worries, Ed. Because I'm
yeah,
sure, like, obviously, if you're working on any or a lot of this Hollywood stuff, it's all under NDA. It's all it's all confidential. You can't
yeah,
really leak it out, or show it to the public. Unless you have some private
yeah,
private session. Yeah.
yeah,
In respect of time also, do you have any like interesting stories? I think earlier on, before we started the recording,
yeah.
you said you had like, oh, you had some interesting stories to share, right? Do you still remember what was that?
Hmm.
If it
Let
can
me
be,
think.
if you can share it in public, lah, that is.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
like for Dune, I was assigned to be the sampling recording engineer. If you heard those ladies whispering or chanting or singing, I was the recording engineer for that. It's a sci-fi novel, right? There is a lot of special terms in Dune. So when we started to sampling the vocals, I personally didn't read Dune before. So when we started the project, I did some research. Okay, what is Dune and what is it about? And even by watching YouTuber explaining or giving summarize about Dune,
Right.
right, I found out there were a lot of special terms and I don't even know how to pronounce it. When we on a pre-production or pre-recording session, we also had no idea how to pronounce the words. And this Hans told us that yeah, he did check with the director or even the script writing person or even the I'm not sure did they check with the novel writer,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure they get all the pronunciation right. We got a list that we should those important terms that we should sample. Yeah, we just try to figure out what's the best rhythm to sample them, to read it, to sing it. We spent almost 2 weeks to sample all the female singers. You are not only sample one note. You have to think about how can you sample for at least 12 notes,
Mm-hmm.
12 different notes. If you want to sample Soya, the word, to write music, then you are not only sample Soya in C. You need to solo in C. You need to sample in C sharp, D sharp,
Mm-hmm.
E, F, da 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 da. Yeah, so we spend a lot of time sampling all the stuff. The moment we finish sampling, pandemic hits the States.
Oh,
For the editing and tuning process, we had to work from home
wow.
on
What
an
was that like?
encrypted
Yeah.
drive. From that point, then we had to set up a good workflow, not only for communication between the engineering team and the composer, because before we pass to the composer, we have to pass to we call it sampling engineer,
Mm.
because they will grab all this recorded file. You need to put into the software so that
Yeah.
they able to use it as a
The
instrument or
instrument.
use
Yeah.
it as a plugin. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything had to be well lined up. And then on top of that, the sampling engineer will try to play around in different tempo to make sure those ladies sound accurately and in good shape.
Mm.
So a lot of back and forth editing and cleaning up lah.
That
Yeah,
has been a mountain of work, man. Just creating sample. Yeah.
yeah,
So literally, you were sampling the voices and turning that into
mm-hmm.
a whole different virtual instrument for for
Yeah,
the composer to work with, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to actually dive into. It could be a whole other video
Mm-hmm.
or some other tutorial thing or masterclass lesson on how to do all these things one day.
Yeah, I can share one more. In several projects, sometimes composers in the campus, right, they will ask us to sample some stuff as well. They just want these materials to be their toolkit. When we heard this word, we quite afraid because it's a freestyle recording. You can do whatever. You can
Mhm.
make whatever sound you want to make, but somehow need to be musical. There was one time we were sampling some toolkits, and then this guitarist, he knows how to play dulcimer, and well, as long as it has fret,
Okay,
then
yeah,
he knows how to play.
I see.
Yeah,
Mm,
strings and bow, he knows how to play as
mm,
well. But the project is more like a thriller horror genre. Then we need to think about how can we make this sound as a toolkit and it is suitable for the composer to use all this sound. So it's like playing a loop machine, right? So we recorded maybe 8 bars or 16 bars,
mm.
started building up the bass note, and then we build up harmony, melody, feeling, and then all this stuff. And even create some weird way like acoustic guitar. We usually doing strumming, play,
Pluck,
or
yeah.
even fingerstyle, right?
Mm,
But in the end, we recorded using different materials to hit the strings or hit
mm.
the body or mic different angle to get more interesting sound. It was fun. Mhm.
That has been super interesting as well. All these
Yeah,
experimental things that you get to do.
yeah,
All right. So
hmm
last question then, right? Yeah, this would be
yeah.
What advice would you give to like aspiring audio engineers out there, whoever might be listening?
I would say step out your comfort zone, get your hands dirty, well, when I was in Malaysia with a Asian mindset, we always think that, okay, we need to be ready to do something. We need to buck up ourselves. We need to learn everything before we do something. But to be honest, we don't know when and what is the real I'm ready moment,
Mm-hmm.
until you get your hands dirty, or until you step out your comfort zone, you go out, do things, or even try things. I started Berklee in 2013, and it was the first time I stepped into recording studio. Since I born, I had no idea how to work in studio. I had no experience to assist engineer in studio at all. Berklee syllabus teach me how to use Pro Tools, teach me what microphone is, what console is, what is outboard gear. If I didn't say yes and try to assist my friends, even just friends school projects, right? If I didn't do that, then I only just get the knowledge from the book or from Wikipedia or from YouTube. By doing all this stuff, I know what I need to learn more or to work better. Like, okay, if I'm stuck at coiling cable, then you once you do it more and more often, then you know how to coil it in a better way. If you don't know how to mic a piano, either you're using ORTF, XY, space pair, whatever, right? If you didn't try, you won't know what's your favorite miking technique for recording a 12 feet long concert grand piano. So I would say just try, just do it. And of course, at the same time, you need to keep your uh keep open minded, because by doing all the stuff, your friends, your colleagues, or even your teammate, they will show you and they will give you good advices, good suggestion, or even share some tips with you. That's the moment you start learning, growing, and also you will learn how to accept criticism from people. And don't forget that as audio engineer, we always work as a team. We need to be a team player and also have good communication within the team, because one person cannot do all this job. You will assist people or you will be leading engineer one day, but you need to create a good working vibe and everything with your team. I'm not sure nowadays the music industry in Malaysia, but back in my day, I think it was quite tough to get all these opportunities, because if you say you are a musician or you are a music engineer, music producer, they might laugh at you, because in Malaysia, music seems like a hobby in general sense, right? Even my parents, they until now they still don't understand what my job is. They
I
never
see.
want me to sit down talk with them. What's my daily routine? What's my job like? What I learned throughout all this year is, as long as you haven't crossed the finishing line, or if as long as you are still alive, right?
Mhm.
There's still hope, opportunities, or even miracles. You just have to have faith on what you are doing and what you chose. And yeah, lastly, just keep doing it. I didn't expect that I could. Hans Zimmer is one of my musical hero. Alan Meyerson is one of my idol as well, because I got inspired. I mean, I fall in love with Hans Zimmer music, especially Pirates of the Caribbean and Christopher Nolan, the Dark Knight trilogy. I remember before I watched Pirates of the Caribbean in cinema, once the movie finished, we just left, because I started falling in love on Pirates of the Caribbean, not only the story but also the music. I sat down in cinema to watch the whole credit list. I was like, oh, this Hans Zimmer. Oh, his name seems familiar. Like his name appear quite frequently, and then I started to look at the list. Okay, oh, who's the composer? Who's the assistant? Who's the mixing engineer? Oh, Alan Meyerson. Oh, what did he do? What did he mix? Then found out more and more. And my second musical hero is the composer of Final Fantasy video game, Nobuo Uematsu. Yeah, same thing as well. So I didn't know that how far I can go, And if I didn't, being stubborn, just apply for Berklee, right? Maybe today I will still in Malaysia helping the family business. And if I didn't take Alvin as advice and move to LA, I'm not sure what am I doing now. Alvin and I, we always love and hope to see more Malaysian joining this industry.
Likewise, I will hope to see that too. Especially all the up and coming musicians
Yeah,
and the engineers. Yeah, all this young talented people that we have. The way that you described, how you would sit back and watch the movie credits, right?
yeah,
I also
yeah.
know, I'm not sure how many people out there, right, of the folks out there also do the same thing. You like to sit and watch
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the end to listen, to enjoy to the
Yeah,
not only the soundtrack, but you're looking through all the credits to go and check out, oh, who did this, who did that. I'm sure there are many of you lah. If I'm watching a movie alone, I have the time to do it. That's what I'll do also. I'll look through all the credits and just see, wow, okay, who is this, who is that,
yeah,
because it's so
yeah.
fascinating to see, you see.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
just that's just you and me and a few of us lah, all the audio and musical
Yeah.
guys that will look into that. Yeah, yeah,
We are too nerd. We are nerd.
yeah. We will nerd out over all these kind of things. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Where other people are like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, who cares, right? Maybe that's a
Yeah.
good reason why they like to put all those hidden bonus content at the end nowadays. To make
Yeah.
sure that people stay and watch the whole thing. Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe that's super
Yeah.
cool. Right. So, right.
Yeah.
I guess that ends. That's all my questions that I have for you. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
on my end, right. Thank you so much for answering all my questions. We want to move on. We have got a couple of questions from
Yeah. Sure.
Clinton actually, and from NK. And folks, if you have questions for Soya, right? Please feel free to either type it in the chat, or if you want to, unmute yourself, please, just raise your hand, just do a little reaction. Clinton's question is, how difficult would it be for a Malaysian to move to LA to start a career there?
I would say it is not as difficult as you imagine. Yeah. Of course, you need to deal with the visa thing, and then you need to financial wise. Yes, it might be a little bit tough at first, but opportunity wise, if you move here, right, and if you're looking for studio internship, okay, we start with studio internship. You need to know your DAW, and of course, I believe AES members, we have our own favorite DAW. So it depends on which kind of studio you want to start with. If it's like recording studio, so definitely we assume Pro Tools will be the main DAW they use. It will be a bonus if you know shortcuts, but doesn't mean that you need to know all the shortcuts. To be honest, I don't know all the shortcuts on Pro Tools. I just know the shortcuts that I frequently use, or those shortcuts that helpful for my workflow or my job. The competition in I mean it's competitive in LA because a lot of people knows all these basic engineering skills. So actually a lot of studios, they are looking for assistant and runner or even intern. So it is challenging to start from runner position or intern position. Western countries, they also look for your personalities and characteristic. It's not like if your resume is just Pro Tools, then you cannot get a job. Yes, you still can a job, but we spend a lot of time seeing each other on project or in studio, So you have to have a good personalities. Like, are you good to hang out with? Because we're gonna spend at least 10 hours in the same room looking at each other. So I would say don't worry, because there are too many studios here. It's just that maybe those are not super famous composer or engineers or studio, but that it's still the opportunities there. Like, I mean, I've been listening people constantly looking for assistant or engineer.
So there is actually
Yeah,
the opportunities there lah. Just that
there
people
is
need to
opportunity here.
need to
Yeah,
be bold enough to go and grab it and take it.
Yeah,
Thanks for your question, Clinton, and thanks for answering that, Soya. We have another question from Razif, right? Ajib says, do you do work
we
for
are.
VR, for virtual reality?
Wow, this is a good one. To be honest, no, not yet. I don't have the chance to work on VR so far because we are not specializing in video game music.
Mhm.
We are in general we have 90% of score,
Mm.
film score, TV show score music. That's why we we don't have a lot of VR work. So I'm curious how the things work as well. Because so far I only work on Dolby Atmos stuff, which
Mhm.
is crazy as well. Because you're able to pan a lot of stuff around the space,
Mhm.
and yeah, I haven't take the Avid Dolby Atmos certified pro class yet. Unfortunately, yes, I don't. Our studio is not specialized in VR, so I don't have that much experience in VR.
I mean, I'm sure you all, because it's so much work for film and TV score anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
unless you get a demand for it, then only maybe you see more work going that direction lah. Right. But thanks anyway, Ajib, for the question. Okay. Well, hopefully,
Yeah,
if you want, I'll try and dig around and explore, from other AS resources and see, whether we can
yeah,
pull someone who has expertise in the VR side and get him on board for a future session lah. But thanks for the question.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't
So,
forget to invite me. I want to join
oh yeah,
if
sure.
someone is talk about it.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure, we'll do. Okay. I got
yeah,
one more question. All right.
sure.
From Hui Xian. I did write and release my own songs. I want to start composing songs for films. So she
Yeah.
found platforms like Music Gateway and Pond 5. What do you think of these
Mm-hmm.
platforms? This is a good starting point to start in these platforms. So I guess Hui Xian is a composer. So how
Mm-hmm.
does she writes, composes her own songs and the music for films. What are the platforms for up and coming composers and writers?
Mm. I never heard of these two platforms,
Mm.
but some of my friends they started yeah, I think it's quite similar with music library. We call it music library here. It's either independent or company based or just by your own. You write a lot of music. Maybe you categorize emotional style, action style, and then mix and match style, right? What I saw my friend did was they write all this music, they just keep posting on SoundCloud. SoundCloud is the main here. A lot of people using SoundCloud. And then they also create their own website and business card, just to promote their own stuff. Unfortunately, I don't know more platforms that can showcase, besides SoundCloud or even YouTube, because I saw a lot of YouTubers, right? They use a lot of so-called free royalties music. Maybe that's one of the starting point you could investigate or try to research how this work. I mean, starting from music library, and then maybe you can contact them. I believe all these websites they always have the contact us button. Or if there is film festival in Malaysia, yes, that's one of the event you should go and meet those old experienced young new director or whoever in the film industry. I mean, I believe they also want to seek for new bloods for the industry.
Yes, exactly
Mm-hmm.
right. And I think you hit on one very very good important point here, Hussein. That's very very
Yeah,
good question actually. So yeah, the point about hitting up and trying to get in contact with content creators, exactly,
yeah,
right? YouTubers, heck, even TikTokers and people who
yeah,
do things for Instagram Reels and all that, because they all rely on their so-called the database of the royalty free music. But
yeah.
sometimes there are a number of them who may want, music that is bespoke. That means you custom compose for them. You see,
Mm-hmm.
so actually a lot of them do want that because, that gives their content a very original identity. And Before everyone came on, I was chatting with Soya as well on how the industry is also kind of evolving over here, because
Yeah.
so much more content is being created nowadays. Digital content for digital streaming platforms, for online marketing. Everybody from your insurance agent to the big companies are all trying to do content in here, and when you create content, they are looking for people to write and compose music for it. So they actually
Yeah.
are looking for people like you out there lah. So you just have to, network and reach out, and just do that. There's no
Mm-hmm.
substitute for the hard work lah, the groundwork, networking, getting to know people, writing in and
Yeah.
posting all your work. Yeah.
Yeah. I foresee YouTubers might be quite of the big opportunities nowadays, because
Potential.
yeah, too many YouTubers coming out, like putting their contents on the website, and instead of using the same music, right? I believe they want something new as well. So let's say if you speak both, I mean, of course, we Malaysians speak three languages, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of Chinese, but for sure Malay and
English.
English.
Yeah.
So if you're able to speak all these languages, right, and yeah, just try to check out their check out the YouTube and which YouTuber you like or you prefer to work with, and then yeah, just
Mm.
send your stuff, send your demo reel to them. Yeah, when I started, I sent a lot of shit as well, and oh, sorry, I sent my stuff as well, and somehow they ignore or they reject it, but
Mm.
just keep doing it. Yeah,
Yep. All right. Well,
yeah,
so yeah, you have to just keep trying it. Rejection is part of it's part of the
yeah.
the process lah.
The
And it's
process.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's perfectly
yeah,
perfectly natural. Helps to build thick skin also in this industry.
yeah. I mean, my mixes even got rejected. So I believe like you just have to keep doing it.
Hopefully that helps, right? And all the best to you, right, Huisen, for your career. Clinton added a comment, right? Is it that just from
Yeah,
experience, right? You could try Upwork, Freelancer, Sound Better. All right, Sound Better. I've heard of Sound Better before, and a few others. Either that, another great way to get into the industry is to intern for audio post production studios. Hope this helps.
true.
Let's just see. Are there any other questions from anyone? If there's no other stuff, all right, we will call it a day and we will wrap this up real soon, right? So if there's no other questions, let me set this up again. If there are no other questions, I suppose yeah, we can probably call it time. And it's a good time already. We've taken up a lot of time of your time, and it's late for you.
Nah, all
Yeah.
good.
So as once again, right, on behalf of everyone here, the all the attendees, everyone in AS Malaysia, right, on behalf of the committee as well. Thank you so much again for doing this. Okay, right. Thank you for spending this little time with us to share your story, your experiences, right, and all
Yeah,
that's so awesome. Once again, we are incredibly proud, and congratulations to you, Soya, on all your
thank you.
amazing achievements lah. Right. Thank you to Hui Xian, Razif, Siu Shu, a few others that were on earlier as well, Kelvin and
Yeah,
Blenda and all those who are here. Will be available later as a recording. Do follow the AES Facebook page. Just look for AES Malaysia on Facebook, and you will find us lah. You'll
yeah,
find the group there as well. The website,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry, yeah. Uh,
I mean,
uh,
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. If you guys have questions, or you guys can maybe email to JD, and then I believe AES will forward to me lah.
Sure. Likewise as well. Yeah. If uh, if people want to get in touch with you, okay, right? Do you have any Instagram, social media? You have your website, of course.
Uh, I'm gonna type it out
Yes,
here,
please. Yeah.
and then Facebook. I seldom use Facebook, but
Oh yeah. Okay. Maybe
you can
not.
try.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can
That's
try
my
that.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Instagram. Nah, my Instagram is boring. Seldom touch it.
Oh, trust me, right? Hey,
Yeah,
we're so busy in the studio. We're busy with work. It's like I so like don't even touch Instagram, man. Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so
Instagram.
much. Right. So, folks, for everyone else, if you want to hang around a little bit, I'll still be around here. But officially, right, this will be the end of
Yeah.
our program this afternoon, lah. Right. So once again, thank you so much, Soya.
Thank
Right.
you.
Yeah. To everyone out there, whoever wants to stay behind for a little chit chat about anything that you want to do about audio and all stuff. But this brings everything. This brings our program to the end, lah. Thank you again. Right. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.